Hi, I'm Daryl Urbanski, and welcome to the Best Business Podcast. My mission is to help create 200 new multi-millionaire business owners. How? You'll do better when you know better. In my interviews, you'll hear from self-made millionaires, seven-figure business owners, authors, and world-class experts sharing how they did it so you can too, without experiencing the same obstacles they did. Now, if you like this interview, please share it with a friend you think will benefit. They'll appreciate it, and I will as well. You can also connect with me on social media. Look for Daryl Urbanski, D-A-R-Y-L, Urban Ski, U-R-B-A-N-S-K-I, and add me so we can be friends. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy what I've prepared for you right here, right now. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Daryl Urbanski, your host as always, and today we are joined by Dr. Adam Arnold, the founder of Web Profit Maximizer. WPM is a social media and digital marketing agency based in Sydney and serves clients globally. After 17 years of studying, testing, and successfully implementing the latest digital advertising techniques from some of the best mentors in the world, Adam has learned a thing or two about business growth. So I've asked him here to join us today to help us all market online a little better. So Adam, thank you so much for joining us. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, Daryl. Thank you for having me on, and I am doing really well. Thank you.
Yeah, I know. You're just giving me some great tips, and we were talking about some stuff before we hit record. Now, I know you as a savvy entrepreneur who's obviously helping grow businesses and making differences in people's lives. But how did you even get into this? Like, there's a doctor at the beginning of your name. I was kind of surprised when I saw in the bio. I'm like, Adam's a doctor? And I mean, do you come from a family of entrepreneurs? And how did you get to where you are now?
Great questions, Daryl. So, I'll take the last one first. I come from a family of entrepreneurs. No, my father is a butcher and my mother ran the school lunch program. So that was kind of my background. And most of my family were farmers. I grew up in rural America. So there was no entrepreneurial spirit in my family growing up. I had an injury when I was in high school that led me onto the career path of being a chiropractor. That's how I got the name doctor. And ironically, that is the same reason why I got out of chiropractic, because my back injury stopped me from being able to practice chiropractic. I practiced for 17 years. So so that's kind of what got me in, what got me out. And at that stage, I was at a stage in my life like, wow, what am I going to do with myself now? Like, I'm really passionate about chiropractic, and the reason I'm passionate about chiropractic is because I love helping people. So what can I do with my life to help people and still get results and also do something that I actually enjoy doing? And the obvious answer for me was I loved marketing, because I've been marketing my own chiropractic practice and studying some of the greats like Jay Abraham and Dan Kennedy, long story short, I wound up being a part of a mastermind program by one of the top Facebook marketers in the world, Ben Simkin, which you've been at one of his events and spoken at as well.
That's right. Well, actually, we also did an interview with Ben. I'm trying to get him back on for a second time. But Ben's a great guy. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. So got into Ben's mastermind, created an ad, generated 1,200 leads in 3 months for that business. And it's just kind of been rolling on ever since then.
That's awesome. That's excellent. So obviously you've been through a few different types of business models, and you've seen a lot of different seasons in business. What have been some of the greatest challenges in your career?
Oh, great question. So, I guess one of the things is, like, because I was marketing and running my own chiropractic practice, I have got both online and offline experience, copywriting. And so it gave me a complete sort of a picture of the whole marketing process. Some of the biggest challenges that I have found, probably as an agency now, the biggest challenge that I find is when I generate leads for a company, we'll have one of two problems. One is they have too many leads and they can't handle them, and we have to turn off our marketing. Or number two is they get a bunch of leads, but they can't convert them into clients. And so both of those problems really comes down to having the back end sales. process. So now before we start working with a client, we always make sure that they have a specific sales process in place so that they can convert those leads and so that they can handle the number of leads that we're putting in through to them as well.
And that's really powerful because I know already, it's funny, with my girlfriend, this last night we were at her mom's store, and all business owners think they've got a problem, like a traffic problem or an inventory problem, but her store is literally like 3 feet, 4 feet across from McDonald's entrance.
Wow.
And it's like there's a McDonald's that's like it's a huge anchor store, first of all, in any location, right? McDonald's draws people. They're busy all day, every day, walking in and out. So the problem isn't that it's a conversion problem. Everyone has a conversion. Everyone thinks I don't have enough traffic, whether it's an online or offline business. You hear that all the time. I don't have enough traffic. But typically, if you had more conversions, you could get a lot more out of less traffic. If you make 1 sale out of every 10, then to make 10 sales, you need 100 people. But if you're getting 2 sales out of every 10, you only need 50 people. That's half the traffic. So it's almost like people always focus on the traffic part, but what you said is so important. So we talk about having a back-end sales process in place. Can you kind of describe what that, I mean, this might sound really rudimentary and basic, but just for, shits and it's my own show, I can swear, just for shits and giggles, can you explain what is like a back-end sales process? Like, what does that look like?
Okay, great question. And so I think that I'll use healthcare as an example. I generate a lot of leads for functional medicine practitioners and chiropractors. So when the lead comes in to the chiropractor or the functional medicine practitioner, they will have their staff generally making the phone call. Now, the staff person that is the person that sees the clients walking in the door and greets them and takes them into the rooms is more of an administrative trained staff person. Mm-hmm. And they're not used to following up on people. So the first thing is that they have to be used to getting on the phone and having conversations with people. And the first area that it'll drop off is if they think they've made 2 or 3 phone calls, anything beyond that would be bothering someone.
Right.
So we have to train them to understand that it's okay to make 15 or 20 phone calls within the first 72 hours of a lead coming in.
Right.
So that's the first step is we need to, clarify when you get that lead coming in through your inbox, this is the steps that you need to do. And the first thing is you want to call them. And the quicker that they call them, the better the result will be.
Right.
Okay. And then the second step is okay, well, what do I say once I get them on the phone? Mm-hmm. And so then we work with a scripting process with them on what they should say to get them to convert. And sometimes we don't know exactly what we're going to need to do to get the conversion because we need to trial it. Mm-hmm. But typically we can come down to the biggest objections are generally time and money.
Right.
So it's about showing the value of whatever it is that they're getting on the phone. Because most of my clients are on the higher end of they have high ticket items. So mm-hmm. they're not a typical chiropractor or a functional medicine practitioner. Their programs are anywhere from $2,500 to $15,000 to come in and see them. Mm-hmm. So there needs to be a lot of value being displayed on the telephone.
Right.
And then once they get that client into the office, then it's about making sure they understand how to track what happens.
Right.
And so we set up spreadsheets for our clients where they enter in, the number of times it called, what was the result of that phone call, when they came into the office, did they convert into a client? So we make sure that our clients have all of the sort of back-end processes so that we can track. And that helps then, from an agency point of view, that helps us to make sure that we are then tracking them in terms of our ads to make tweaks to our ads. And then there's not really an upsell or side sell for most of my clients that are in that space. But if we're looking at, as an example, an event company that we're running ads for right now, they sell high-end jewelry, mm-hmm. and So oftentimes, and they sell it through auctions. And so people who buy jewelry through the retail outlets aren't used to buying jewelry in an auction. So the first thing is to get them to the auction, get them comfortable with the process. And then the next part is to make sure that we get them to come back to the next auction so that now that they're comfortable, they're ready to start bidding and actually purchase jewelry.
Right. Yeah, that makes perfect. And what I love about it is it's about, so for people listening, it's about having like a planned process. It's not doing something new with every person. A lot of businesses, the sales rep is the owner typically, and they're just kind of handling it right on their own. And just out of necessity, a system kind of emerges like, oh, I got this post-it note system on the dashboard of my car because I'm always stuck in traffic, blah, blah. But that's not it. You've got a planned out thing. You've got a script. Why would you use a phone script? Doesn't it sound robotic?
Great question. And so it shouldn't sound robotic if the person is using the script as like a guide. So they still need to put in their own personality, but we want to be able to test and measure. So if they say XYZ and they get, ABC result, then we know that XYZ works. But if they try to use something different every time, then we don't know what's working and what's not working.
Right. And it might, you still might figure it out, but it could take a lot more iterations. And when you're spending money to buy leads, you want to minimize the optimization cycle as much as possible. And you do that with specificity.
Exactly. And so I also have a background in NLP. So we will use NLP in our scripting as well, so that, and hypnotic suggestion. So we know the outcome that we're going to get.
I love that. All right. So we talked about how helping you can generate leads for a client, but typically they don't understand. They don't really have a business in place, is what it sounds like, because they don't have any systems or processes. They're just good at some, and I don't want to, that's not a dig at anybody by any means. But all right, so then you help them actually get a system in place to capture their leads, follow up the leads, track what's working, what's not working. Where do people struggle with that? Is it an easy thing for everyone to implement with, or do some of your clients tend to struggle with parts?
Yeah, good question again. So, and you asked about a script. After a while, people get tired of saying a script, and that they then think, oh, let's just deviate from it, or
I don't need the script. I'm good at
Right. Yeah, I've done this enough now. I can do it on my own without the script, and so that can be obviously a problem. Or the other problem is because again they're administrative staff, they just get tired of making the calls, and so and that's where we will suggest they start looking at having an external company to make those calls for them. Because those are salespeople, and they don't care if they call the person 100 times a day. They're there to get a sale, and they enjoy making the phone calls. They don't get tired of making the phone calls. In fact, they get a high out of it. So, they're wired differently in their mind to making the call. So, but that's typically the couple of the problems I see is, one, they don't like the scripts, or they don't like saying the same thing over and over again, and two is they just get tired of actually making the phone calls.
Now, why pay for advertising? Like, why buy leads? Why not just word of mouth, that sort of thing?
That's a good question again as well. So, I did a seminar recently in Ben's mastermind, and I was talking about marketing on autopilot. And when we talk about marketing on autopilot, the first thing that a business needs to understand is what core pillars of marketing they have in place. And referrals should definitely be one of your core pillars. The challenge with just having referrals is number one, you never know when someone's going to refer. You can't control that. So it's kind of like you're on this roller coaster ride of, I got 2 referrals this week and I got none last week, and then it goes up and down like that. So that's the first reason why we don't want to just rely on referrals. The second reason is because if you're after substantial growth in your company, you're going to have other marketing in place. And so the beauty of having paid advertising is we can scientifically look at it and go, okay, if we run an ad, that's going to produce, for X dollars, it's going to produce a lead. And if we get X number of leads, we know that we can convert, Y of them into clients.
Mm-hmm.
And so then therefore we know that we can get a client landed for, $100, $200, whatever it is. And we know that the back end sell of that is going to be $2,500. Mm-hmm. So now we have a system that's automated that we know that we can follow through and we can control with paid advertising. Whereas if it's organic, like as SEO, I think everyone should have that in their business as well. But you can't rely on how many people are going to search for whatever keyword you're looking for in Google that particular month. Whereas within paid advertising, we can control how many leads we're going to get, how many new customers we're going to get.
Yeah. You can literally turn a tap. It's like, hey, let's get 300 new customers, and then you just get them. And it's a simple concept to grasp, and I think it's a simple thing for you to understand, but it's not easy. It's not straightforward and easy. If it were, more people would be successful at it. So I think that's really where 17 years of experience plays a powerful role, because it really helps shorten that curve. You can do it. A lot of people also, there's a great book, Scientific Advertising, written by Claude Hopkins, and in it he says, you should treat your advertising like you would a sales rep. You wouldn't expect your salesperson to make sales their very first day on the job when they're just learning about you and your product. You would have to pay them and invest in them for a particular amount of time before they would start producing any results. And a lot of times paid advertising can be like that. You have to treat it like that, because it's such an asset when you have that tap that you can just literally just turn it on and get more customers. That's just such an empowering thing financially, business-wise, as far as security and stability and reliability or predictability. But it's not, again, it's something that, if it was so easy, everybody would be doing it. So it is something that takes time, energy, and effort to build. But I always say on the show, there's only really 3 ways to get traffic. You can buy it, you can borrow it, or you can build it. And borrowing it is, borrowing and building is where a lot of people tend to focus their time, but buying it is really the holy grail. That's kind of what separates the big boys from the small mom and pop shop. So now, do you see habits or routines or similarities between some of your more successful clients? Any common denominators among them?
I think that if we look at their mindset is definitely probably one of the first keys, and that is they have a mindset that they're willing and they're open to try something, but they also have the mindset that, hey, I'm willing to pay to build my business, so I'm willing to invest in it, knowing that I'm going to get a return if I'm spending some money on advertising and growing my business. That's probably the first key is they have that right winning mindset. And they have the mindset for that they're hungry for growth. And then I think one of the other keys is they actually care about their customers. Like they really, really care about the people that they're looking after. And because they care so much about them, they know a lot about their customers, which helps make my job easier, because the more they know about their customers, the easier it is for me to be able to write marketing that the customer will understand. And there's a saying that says, if in our marketing, if we can tell the customer what their problem is and say it better than what they can say it themselves, then the customer automatically is going to raise their hand and say, yeah, I'm in, because I know that you can solve my problem because you just stated it better than I could state it myself.
Yeah. Right.
So caring about the results that their customers are getting is absolutely essential. And then the third is caring for their organization, for their team, and making sure that the happiness of their team is one of the most paramount things that they have in their company as well.
I love that. Why is that so important to have a team and to have a happy team at that?
Well, there's I think his first name was Patty. He was a dentist, and he I think I first heard this concept from him. This is going back probably 15 years ago. And he made a decision that he was going to split up his clientele into his A clients, his B clients, his C, and his D. And A were obviously the best clients, and D were the worst clients. And he was getting rid of all the B, C, and D clients. So he was going to refer them to another dentist because he didn't want to work with them. And then he would then only work with his A clients. And the reason why he said that is because, and sorry, I'll go back to using this in the team example.
Fine.
So he asked, who's the most important person in your company? And most people would reply, well, it's the customer. And he said, no, it's my team. And the reason it's my team is because I'm around them all day long, every day. So I have to get along with them. I have to, like them, and I have to be able to trust them. And so they're the most important people in my entire organization. And the customer comes second. And then with the customers, then he cleared out so that he was only working with people that he wanted to be around all day long. So his happiness came from, number one, having his team be happy and be around people that he liked. And number two, from his customers also being people that he liked and wanted to be around as well.
That's such a powerful thing, because I think that's why a lot of people get into business. It's to have control. Like, there's so many things that are out of our control. I think there's people that they want that control. They don't want to deal with a boss that they don't like, or they don't want to be subject to somebody else's input or abuse. So they start their own business to have their own control over exactly that. Who they are surrounded by at work, what types of customers they do or don't have. But most people don't exercise that. Now, isn't that a scary thing, though, to turn away some customers because they're not treating you with respect, or they're not the types of people that you want to get along with? Like, isn't that a scary thing to do?
Yeah, absolutely it is. But it's also at the same time, it's very freeing. Once you do it, it's very freeing. And I think it opens up a vacuum where you're going to attract more of the type of customer that you want.
I think that's really true. In fact, I want to just talk about that for a moment, because the customer is not always right. The customer is not always right. And just because you have a business does not mean you are subject to being walked all over by people. You get what you expect. And so if you expect a certain amount, it does depend. Maybe there are industries where people expect the customers and the industry is a certain way. But typically, though, you can still run your own ship as you want, and you get what you expect. And exactly that, if it's almost like that way in life. If you let people walk all over you, then they're going to walk all over you. People will take, they'll take all the room that you give them. Customers as well.
Absolutely, they will. And in your company, you have your rules, and these are the rules that we abide by to have our happiness. Just like living in a country, you have rules that you have to abide by to keep it happy. You drive on one side of the road because that's what keeps everybody happy and keeps everybody safe.
Yep. Yeah, all a company is a team of people. All a business is a group of people who solve the pain of another group of people with a product or service. It's here. You talked about dentists, so that's a group of people that solve the pain of another. Maybe it's a neighborhood, maybe it's a type of person, a working professional. They understand they've got busy lives. Maybe it's people who are afraid of pain, and so it's a dentist office that that makes sure that they put everyone under before they do. Right? It's like it's people who solve this pain of a specific group of people. And so again, it's the same thing. It's it's a culture. Culture is such an important part of anything that you do, whether it's a sports team, whether it's a business, whether it's a family. The culture that you encourage, that you nurture, that's gonna it's almost like its own thing, right? It's gonna lead in directions you want or don't want, no matter what. And so I think that's a really, really important point. I just wanted to kind of highlight that, because I know that there's a lot of people that feel like they're subject to their customers, or like that sort of thing, like and it's not the case. You literally design your own life, and whatever life you have, you've designed it. You've made all the decisions or refused to make the decisions that led up to that. And so, you're not a tree. Move. If you like where you are, okay, perfect. If you don't like where you are, do something different. That's why you're in business, and you have that control. I don't know if maybe I lost some people with that, but I just think it's a really important point. So
agreed, totally. Yeah.
So now moving along. Now, where do you think the future of paid advertising is going?
Oh, good question. And it's been in turmoil. So, as we're talking on this podcast, just today, chatbots were released again in Facebook. So, for those people that don't know what a chatbot is basically an automated program that allows you to have a series of questions and answers inside of Facebook Messenger. They were opened up going back about 18 months ago, I think now, maybe 2 years, they were opened up into Facebook. And because of the recent Cambridge Analytica privacy stuff, going on, all that stuff that the media is having a heyday with. Because of all that, they turned off chatbots so that they did not allow them to occur until they could get those privacy policy issues sorted. Mm-hmm. And today they've just released them back into working. So that's great news for businesses that are wanting to use those to automate some processes and communication within their business. So I think, Daryl, like the reason I bring that up is because we're seeing the media play some roles in putting out some information there about privacy that, for now anyway, it's probably a little blip in the radar, but right now it's causing the way that businesses should consider their advertising. And there's discussions around Google and Facebook removing remarketing from their platforms.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, I know, it's pretty scary. And for those that maybe don't know what the word remarketing is, if you've ever visited a website and then you go into another application like Facebook or maybe a Gumtree or a Craigslist, and then you see an ad pop up with what you were just looking at on the website, that's what remarketing is. It's so they're looking at potentially removing that from their programs. In fact, Google Chrome now allows you to shut it off if you don't want to see it.
That's interesting. Now, I remember, I think it was Perry Marshall at the time when remarketing first came out, he said, this is the end of 5-cent, 10-cent banner ad clicks, because the ad inventory was going to get eaten up. It was going to get, because people would be willing, remarketing is such a powerful thing that it would eat up a lot of the excess inventory. But if they get rid of that, I wonder, it is scary, but I wonder if that is all, I wonder if the opportunity there is. So.
Yeah, so that's a really good point. And so I'm working on a project with a couple of guys at the moment. We're creating a website that will have a couple 100,000 pages built in it, and that gives us the opportunity to serve ads through our website to that specific demographic. So I think that there's going to be an opportunity for potentially for banner ads, but more like a banner ad where you're approaching a specific website that has a specific demographic that looks like that's in your target market.
So do you mean like media buying? Like I'm doing paid ads online and I can't really do remarketing, but I find that these sites, or these types of sites, my ads seem to do well on. And so then I approach them directly about advertising on them. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, yep, correct. So like, let's just say as an example that the business manufactures dog food, and there's a website for dog lovers, and they get several thousand visitors, a month coming into their website. So the dog food obviously matches the website's demographic.
Right.
So therefore, they could put banner ads inside of that website and advertise within it to get business from that.
Right. Yeah, because this is some old school, but I mean that's how advertising was back in the day. Before the internet, there wasn't remarketing.
So people are freaking out about this, and they're like, "Aren't you freaked out?" I'm like, "Absolutely not." When I started Facebook marketing, remarketing wasn't around.
Yeah.
We didn't have it.
Yeah.
And all the targeting options that we have now, we didn't have that either.
Yeah.
So you had to rely on your ability to write good, strong copy and a great ad that matched what the target audience wanted to be able to get the result.
Yep. I know a guy, Greg Davis. He's in teaching affiliate marketers how to market. He's a guru there. They call him Mr. 50K a day, and he has a saying that when the ad is good enough, the keyword doesn't matter.
Exactly.
When the ad's good enough, the keyword doesn't matter. It's not about the keyword; it's about the demographics. And anyways, it's just an interesting philosophy. But that's how it was, because before the internet, you had to buy lists. That's how it was. You would rent a magazine list. You would put an ad in a newspaper, and that was kind of it. I mean, you could do radio and billboard and TV and that sort of thing, but the channels were fewer. The reach was further, I think. I think the cost per 1,000 was perhaps cheaper. I might be wrong on that. I mean, different medium. You're not going to pay $1,000 you're not going to send 1,000 letters in the mail for which you can get 1,000 eyeballs on Facebook for, right? But
Yeah.
but I mean, just respectively. And so that's where it was. It was about generating your own lists. And so for people listening, this is what it was. The name of the game was get something out there that identifies your group of people. It can be a free offer, it can be a low, cheap offer, but typically you want to build a list as big as possible. And then you spend all your time marketing to that list. You couldn't do remarketing. You had to market to your lists, and that's kind of how it was. And now in some ways people have gotten lazy where they're like, oh, I just remarket and this, and they may not get it, but they're doing the same thing. It's just a different, like there's nothing new under the sun, right? It's all the same stuff. It's just transforming from one format to another format. And that's where someone like you, who's got 17 years, and even myself, who's been in the game for almost as many years as well, like that's where that experience really comes in handy, because where new people are getting caught up in the technique, we understand the principles and the strategies that have been, kind of proven themselves over the test of time. So, yeah.
And I think on this note, like one of the areas, like, obviously, like your definition of what you're talking about, as a business is a group of people that work together to solve a group of people's problem. That's what Facebook groups do. And so I think that there's going to be more emphasis on Facebook groups, and there's so the F8 conference is going on right now in California, which is the Facebook conference, and that's going on right now, and they're releasing several new things. So be on the lookout of that in the next few days to hear what's going on there. I've got a friend that's just telling me that they've released now the ability, they've changed the join group button just a little bit, so it's going to be easier to join groups now, which is cool.
That is cool. Yeah, groups are extremely powerful because it's a pool of people that you're interested in. The problem is reaching those people. It can be really expensive and time consuming to get in there. And I know Facebook's changed permissions on how to market in groups a couple of times the last couple of years. So, all right. So we know that there's some new things happening with groups. Some new things happening, I guess, with chatbots and with remarketing. That's kind of interesting as well. What do you think? What are some of the most effective ways for someone who's new and maybe they're not sure if they want to get with an agency or not yet, but they need to get their own. They want to jump in. They want to test the waters. What do you think are some of the most effective ways to get something basic up and running?
So good question. And the one caveat that I'll put on this is that oftentimes, when you've been doing marketing for as long as what you and I have been doing it, the ad that we're going to produce is going to have a much greater chance of being successful, once it gets out of the gate. Whereas if someone is not used to creating ads and creating copy, and they don't understand how to use the Facebook advertising platform, then that can have problems like we were just talking about, challenges with Infusionsoft and ClickFunnels. And those sort of technical challenges would normally knock someone down and then they just give up. So the caveat on this is if you do not succeed at first, or if you come up against a problem, we have a rule in my company. If we're using a piece of technology like Infusionsoft or ActiveCampaign or any technology, and we get stuck on that using that piece of equipment, and it takes us longer than an hour to solve it, then we stop and we reach out to the support team of the company that makes that, and we wait for them to help us before we start to continue on. So if you get into that and you fail, or if you get into it and you reach a technical situation, reach out to someone that is an expert in that area to get some help.
Yeah.
So that's the first caveat I put on that. The best way to get started and the most simplest thing to do is to first understand who your customer is. So if you've got an established business, go and talk to one of your customers that you absolutely love. So like I was talking about A, B, C, D customers, go and talk to an A customer, not a D customer, because we don't want to attract them in. So go and talk to an A customer and find out what the problem was that they were having, how they communicated that problem, where did they go and look for other answers besides coming to your company to solve that problem. Gather all of that information up and then use that as your foundation for building your ad inside of Facebook. That would be my first recommendation. If they don't understand Facebook advertising platform, then they're going to have to get some training on that. And Facebook provides training inside of it. They've got a training platform called Blueprint that is free to use, and you can go in and learn how to use the Facebook advertising platform. And the third part of this is make sure they're boring as batshit to read, but make sure you read the Facebook advertising policies. Know them inside and out, because you do not want your ad to get disapproved over and over and then get your account shut down.
Right. And I don't know, is Facebook still like they were? I've been doing Facebook ads still, but not as heavily as I was a few years ago. And for the longest time, Facebook had a hair trigger on banning accounts where Google would just disapprove your ad. Facebook would disapprove your ad and you. It was like, sorry, you wrote a bad ad. You can no longer advertise on our platform. As opposed to just, this ad sucks, make a better one. Is it still, how touchy is that right now?
So Facebook, like when I first started advertising on Facebook, I had 3 accounts shut down.
Yep.
So I haven't seen that sort of thing happening as much, but with the privacy policies coming out now,
Right.
I'm sure that Facebook is going to start to monitor that if you're doing anything that's going to be breaking a privacy policy. So if you're sending someone to a landing page, make sure you have privacy policy on that page.
I had a client, actually a good friend and a client for a while, and he was doing something like 20,000. He was out of Mexico. He was doing something like 20,000 net profit a month. Had an ad set running in Facebook for 8 months, almost untouched. Went in, made one small edit, and his account got shut down. It was like, and it was almost like they hadn't. It was like it somehow got under the radar all those months. And it was like that review, whoever reviewed it that time, it was something like he changed the URL, like he didn't even change the ad, and it just totally got him anyways. And it was just gone. Like, it's not even like, oh, that ad that was running great and making me 20 grand net a month is now gone. It was like his account was gone, and the credit card tied to that. Like, it's a bit of a headache. So
yeah, the only way around that, if that did ever happen to someone, once an account's gone, it's generally gone.
Yeah.
So my suggestion would first be go and like send an email to Facebook and see if you can get some help with it, or if you can go on the live chat and then do that. And the second thing is, once an account's gone, it generally is gone. So just set up a new account, use a new credit card, and that's essential. You have to use a new credit card, set up a new account, and just get back into business again. Don't let that stall you for weeks at a time.
Yep. So all right, so we're talking about how to get your first paid ad campaign up and running profitably. You talked about doing the research. That's such a crazy thing. If you're going to go hunting, to know what you're hunting. If you're going to go fishing, what kind of fish and what kind of bait. So do some good market research. Ask these people questions. You talked about if you already have customers. If you don't have customers, we mentioned Facebook groups. Those are just amazing reservoirs of information. People understand the power of technology today. You can go on Google keyword search tool, or you can go on Facebook and hop into groups, and you can read people's thoughts. You can search a group for words like frustrated, angry, like upset, things like where people are having pain, and research and understand where your market's coming from. You can go to Amazon and read all the customer reviews. You couldn't do that before. Barnes and Nobles and Chapters and all these bookstores, you couldn't pick up a book off the shelf and read what hundreds of people have thought about this book, right? Like at that time and place. So there's never been a better time in history to be in business as there is right now. So step one is do the research, then create an ad out of that. Is that it? You just put up an ad? Should we run an ad to a phone number? Do we want to collect leads? Do we want to run an ad and make a low dollar sale? What's your recommendation for, like, again, for someone who's just starting up and running, just some basic, get me up and going and hopefully get something that kind of works?
So look, if they have a website, and their website is getting conversions to them, like it's generating leads for them, then the simplest way would be to create an ad, and understand the image in the ad has to match where you're sending traffic to. So if you're sending to your website, they need to have the same image that's on your website. Mm-hmm. So send them to your website, and if you have the ability to have a form on there where people can fill it in, then that's the simplest way to do it. Mm-hmm. The second is, is to use what's called a lead gen ad, and a lead gen ad or a lead ad is one that just stays within inside of Facebook.
Okay.
So you don't even have to create a landing page. You don't have to have a website. It literally just stays inside of Facebook, and it pre-populates with the person's details that they've used inside of Facebook as well. So that's probably the most simplest ways, is either send them to your website or send them to a lead ad.
That's excellent. Now, are lead ads cost effective?
Yes, they are. With a lead ad, we use them for a lot of our clients, and obviously the skill level is gonna vary here, but we'll generate leads generally somewhere between sort of $8 to $25, depending on the industry that we're in, using lead ads.
That's excellent. Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. So really, that's it. I mean, it's traffic and conversion. And if you have an ad that's getting clicks, but you're not getting opt-ins, you may want to look at the ad. By all means, Adam, correct me if I'm out of line here, but you may want to look at the ad and the landing page and try to figure out which one of them is off. You might be getting clicks for something that you're not delivering on your landing page, or you might be getting clicks for something that your landing page is confusing, or people don't understand what they're supposed to do next, or it's just not an appealing offer. Is that kind of accurate?
Yeah. So typically, like if no one's clicking on the ad, then there's a problem with the ad. If they're clicking on the ad and going someplace and they're not taking action, there's a problem with wherever they've gone to take action. And if after taking that action, then you're having difficulties getting a hold of them, then the follow-up process is a problem, or the entire funnel was incorrect.
And so really, people could see it's kind of a step-by-step process. You start with the market and the research and who and what and why they need your help to solve whatever, and then you create an ad that hopefully, and it's everything's going to have a decreased performance. So if you get 100 clicks, you won't get 100 leads, right? You might have a few thousand people see the ad, and you'll get a couple hundred clicks, and then you'll get a handful of leads, tens of leads, hopefully, and that should hopefully, depending on turn into 10 plus sales. As a good benchmark. So it's kind of a funnel where you've got a large volume, and some of this might seem really rudimentary, but I love fundamentals because they're fundamental, and you can't go wrong with fundamentals ever. But and it's just a bottle, and you have to look at where the bottleneck is, and applying your focus anywhere other than the bottleneck is futile. It's a waste of time and energy. And so if you have a business and you have no customers, do you have any traffic? Do you have any leads? Are you not getting the foot traffic that you need into your store, or you're not getting the visitors to your website that you need? That's step one. Okay, well, how do you get more people into your business? That's step one. If they're coming in and they're not buying, now that's the next step, right? And you want to try and keep things as consistent as possible, because you want to try and be scientific about it. And if you're doing something new every day, it can be tough to know what works and what doesn't work.
Exactly. And it's the other thing is sometimes people will if they've done the research and then they've written what they think is an irresistible offer, but they're not getting conversions with it, they may start trying to change too much. And so that's where we maybe just want to change one thing. Maybe it's the image, maybe it's the headline, right. Maybe it's the offer, right? We only want to change one thing at a time, not try and change everything.
Right. And typically those are the two best things you mentioned right there: headline and offer. If it's an ad, the image, I think, is what gets most attention. There's a great tool, Ad Comparator. Blair Gordon, I think, is the guy that made it. I've used that tool forever. It does Taguchi testing, which I don't want to get really geeky on this, but it's a way of doing split testing faster and to test more variables. And I love the 3-element test. So this allows you to test 3 things, 5 things, 7 things, 11 things at once, because typically to do a split test or even a multivariate test, the amount of traffic you need to get conclusive results is prohibitive for a lot of people. It prevents people from doing it. But Taguchi is kind of like a way to just kind of eyeball it, and you're still always making progress as you go forward. I love the 3-element test because you can do 3 elements of an ad. You can do ad, offer, upsell. You can do any 3 things that you want and put it into that and test it. And so that's a great tool that I love. But what you said again, typically headline and offer are the strongest. I know all the times that I use that tool for Facebook ads, almost every single time the image was the most impactful thing on getting more conversions. Once we had an offer that worked, once you had an ad that worked, it was getting different images, because the images are what what gets attention. And if people have to see it first to make an ad before they can act on it. So
right, yeah. Offer is definitely the highest of those areas that the more irresistible the offer is. And the point on that I would make is, I see this so often, right? Business owners are passionate about whatever it is they do, whatever their product or their service is. They're very passionate about it. So they think if they give their product or service away, that is valuable because it's valuable to them.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to always put yourself in the shoes of the person that you're trying to attract in. And so the offer has to be valuable to your potential client, not to yourself.
Right. Yes. You're not in business for you, because you're not going to pay all the bills. You're in business for other people. And that's kind of where you have to strike that balance where, yeah, exactly. You're serving others. You're not so much serving yourself. You're serving others, and hopefully in an industry and in something that you love, right? But it's not about you. It's about them. I love it. And It's not a charity. So you kind of have to appeal to their self-interest, and it won't be fair always either. Right. But that's well said.
Yeah.
So I want to ask one thing before we because I know we're getting close to the end of the call. You mentioned 4 pillars, and you said referrals is one of those. What are the 4 pillars? I'm super curious.
Oh, I said core, CORE.
Oh, right.
So that's what I was referring to was core pillars. So yes, it was core, and for every business that's going to be different. So typically, referrals is one core pillar that a business would have. Another one would be, having a website, and within the website becomes a lot of other things, and that is, how do we get people's eyeballs onto the website? So that can be through Facebook, through Google, through whatever means of traffic, search engine optimization, to get traffic to that website and getting it converting. Another core pillar is typically for most businesses is some type of an event. An event, when I say event, an event could be, if you're an e-commerce store, an event could be, it's Christmas and you're having a Christmas sale. If you're a service-based business, an event could be an internal event that you're holding inside of your business for your customers, for them to bring along potentially new customers for you as well. So that can be an event as well. And those are typically the most sort of like 3 or 4 core things that I would see. I'm trying to think if there's another one that I'm forgetting. Please chime in, Daryl, if you can think of another one.
Yeah, well, it depends what we're talking about, really, because there's core follow-up systems. I think referrals is a huge part, if not even just to generate new business, but it's almost like if you're in the arithmetic business when you have a business, right? So it's how many visitors, like how many potential, right? How many leads, how many qualified leads, how many buyers, how many complaints and returns, how many testimonials and referrals. So again, the core pillars, that's why I was just curious what you're forward, because there's a lot of different ones. I don't have 4 off the top of my head, but I mean, there's everything. Everybody needs a way to onboard new customers and to treat new customers and create a wow experience, to create repeat buyers. I think that's a really important thing. You have to find a way to get customers. You have to find a way to get them to come back over and over again. I mean, it's only 3 ways to grow a business: get new customers, get them to come back more often, and get them to spend more money when they're there. So if your typical customer only comes and buys from you twice, how do you get them back a 3rd time? How do you get them back a 4th time? How do you get them back a 5th time? Is there a way to make a membership part of your business, some sort of subscription revenue? That's a huge part. So that's it's what we're in the business of. Every business in the business of getting and keeping customers. So how do you get them? How do you keep them? How do you optimize? How do you track what works, what doesn't work? So that's why I'm just curious. There's a lot of different things. People that listen to these interviews, hopefully this has been really powerful for you. We've covered a lot of ground, and we've covered some really fundamental and proven time-tested things. And I know some of it may have seen that some of the more expert people listening to this were like, I know what remarketing is, I know what whatever. Well, first of all, thank you for making it to this part far in the call, but also understand you can't. One of my favorite quotes about mastery is do it until it becomes dull, and then do it until it's beautiful.
I like that.
right? Like that's true mastery. And so when it's I mean, I come from a martial arts background, and there are some guys that they would get other black belts with stuff we learned in our first week, and it's just so amazing. You're like, wow. And that's like virtuosity, is doing the common uncommonly well, and you only do that through focus and determination. I mean, there's a lack of grit in the world today. There's a lack of that determination, that persistence. Everyone just gives up so easily. Nobody really has. It's hard to find people who have determination and staying power these days. I did a Facebook Live rant about this not that long ago, because it's disappointing, and that's one of the things that I miss about running a martial arts school. Is when I had a martial arts school, every day people showed up to get better. No one showed up to whine. No one showed up to complain. And when you're not in an environment like that, if I didn't have a gym or CrossFit gym or a martial arts studio or something like that to go to, where I'm surrounded by people that are trying to get better all the time, like I don't know what I would do. I would become aloof. I would just become a recluse, because I just can't handle it. Like people just don't get it, and you got to enjoy it. It's not. Some people act like life is, I don't know, like life is a burden. I mean, it is a gift, and you got to have passion for what you're doing. You want to get up in the morning and have a reason to live. Like, geez, like you were here. You're not going to be here forever. 5,000 years is not going to matter. You got to get up and do something that's meaningful. Yes, you got to make money. Okay. So what do you want to do? You want to go plug in at a job and have someone tell you what to do? Or do you want to be self-directed and have an adventure? It's going to be good. It's going to be, I mean, that's where I'm at, like I want to get the most I can out of this life. As far as I know, I only get one. I'm not sure, but so, I don't know, just focus on the fundamentals and embrace the grind and love what you do, and just be consistent at it. And I don't know, just got to keep being a student. I think I'm on a soapbox. I should probably get off. It's your interview, not mine, but
it's all good, Daryl. I think that your points are all very, very valid. You gotta enjoy the time that you're here, and you gotta be doing something meaningful,
right.
And always, and always continue to strive to be better at whatever it is that you're doing every day.
That's right. And there's never going to be an end to the problems either. You're never going to be like, I've now solved all the problems in my life and my business. Everything is complete. You might have like a week, like a month or two, but there's always going to be something. And so just don't get all beat up and caught up in it, and just have fun. That's really, I mean, did you die? I love that meme. There's that meme from the movie Hangover. Like, did you die? No. Oh, okay. Then shut up. Like, like it's really like, oh my, like I was belly aching to Adam before this call about some immigration issue stuff I've been having with the U.S. But at the end of it, like, did you die? No. All right. So suck it up, princess. Like it's, move forward. And so anyways, Adam, I really appreciate you. For people who have been listening into this, you may want to listen again just to make sure you got everything. I hope you took notes. If not, definitely listen to it again and take some notes. Even if you never look at them again, it will help you remember them better. And I just really hope that you understand that we've talked about some stuff, and it may seem easy, like go on to Amazon and read the reviews, or check out Facebook groups, or ask your customers some questions and create an ad. Some of this stuff may sound really easy, but it doesn't mean it's any less powerful. The stuff that we talked about today is real. There's no magic room. Adam and I aren't going to hang up the call and be like, okay, now this is what I'm really doing, to get results in my business. So it's right here. It's been given to you, and now it's up to you to implement it and go, if this were the gym, you got to go get 100 reps, hammer it out. And if you need some help, there are experts around that can help you. In fact, Adam, if anybody here would like to reach out and get some help, what are some of the best ways for them to contact you?
So they can email me. My email address is adam@webprofitmaximizer, and maximizer is spelled maximizer.com. So Adam at Web Profit Maximizer, and I guess I should spell profit. I once had someone said, "Is that PROPHET?" I'm like, no, it's PROFIT. So Adam at webprofitmaximizer.com. They can go to our website, which is webprofitmaximizer.com, and they can fill in a form there for a strategy session, and we can sit down and have a chat and see if there's anything that I can help them with in their business. And if they want it done for them, then we can also talk about that too.
Perfect. So, Adam, thank you so much for joining us today. Again, you've been a valued friend and advisor, and I'm just grateful that I could introduce my following to you, my audience to you. Again, if you've enjoyed this, if you need some help, please contact Adam. And again, Adam, I appreciate you, and I'm just excited to see where we end up 10, 20, 30 years from now.
Likewise, Daryl, same.
You've reached the end of our interview. Now, first, let me thank you for listening. I appreciate and respect you more than you'll ever know. And now I'd like to ask you a couple of questions. First, What 3 lessons did you just learn? What 3 aha moments just jumped out at you? Second, what can you implement for yourself and your business in the next 24 hours? Third, what can you give to someone else to help you with, or give to them to just do it for you? Whatever it is, remember, taking action is the secret sauce to results. Now, if you think this interview would be helpful for a friend, please give them a link to it. It'll help them and it'll help me too. I'd also like to invite you to help me find out more about the challenges you're facing, your dreams, your goals, and how I can help you overcome what's holding you back. We both do better when we know better, and your success is my success. So please reach out and interact. You can visit our website, bestbusinesscoach.ca for Canada or California, where I'm from and where I'm living. You're welcome to also try out one of our paid programs. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, and pretty much every other social media channel you can think of. You should also subscribe to the podcast, and if you're enjoying them, please leave us a nice review. It really helps. That's all for now. Once again, thank you. Take care of yourself, and remember, the world needs the best business you can build. And I believe in you.